Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Historical Humans podcast. My name's Justin Woods, and I'm joined today by my fellow co-hosts, Colum Coleman and Aaron Gilpin. And today we are going back to the Indian subcontinent, talking about not the Mongol Empire, no, the Mughal Empire. Yes.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
So the Mughal Empire is arguably the dream child of two of the most terrible warlords to ever set foot on Earth. It is we can jump right into this here. It is effectively a combination of the Turkish warlord Timur, also known as Tamerlane, and Genghis Khan.
Oh no!
It is known as the Chagatai Turkish dynasty. Are these Mughals, and that is because Tamerlane was a Turkish warlord who effectively conquered almost everything out in the Near and Middle East. And Chagatai was the son of Genghis Khan, from whom this branch originates.
That's some pretty tough lineage there, I must say.
Especially Chagatai.
Like, that is the perfect bloodchild of two really vicious people.
Yeah, it is a pretty direct descendancy too. So the Mughals controlled most of the Indian subcontinent during their day. They technically controlled the entirety of the northern half at the height of their power, with several efforts made to go further south. But India's pretty massive. It's hard to get the whole thing in one go.
It's also just straight up like a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Even back then.
Yeah. Oh, even back then. It lasted from 1526 to 1857, so it has a pretty good 330-year reign to it.
The crazy thing to me is that's not that long ago. That is pretty darn recent in the grand scheme of things. 1857.
Yeah, it almost makes it to the U.S. Civil War.
Wow.
And as such, we will never know which side the Mughals would have supported during that conflict.
But that's exactly what I want to know.
Due to large amounts of British influence in the region at that time, it is likely they would have supported the Confederacy due to the British need for cotton.
Oh no, imagine how much the war would change if a bunch of Mongols on their horses just showed up on the northeastern coast.
Oh boy.
We'd have a different war altogether, boys.
But
Nobody ever expects the Mongols to make the Mongol invasion.
The Spanish Inquisition is just slowly lurking in the background.
Oh, no one suspects the Mongol horse archers.
They're just showing up, and they're just like, what? Who are these people that are showing up on horses?
Please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go.
Oh no.
Anyway, alternative history will be shelved for the time being. There are a couple key things with this. First of all, this dynasty the Mughals here, they're Muslim. And most of their territory is very much not that, which makes for things getting pretty interesting. Religion is something of a hot point in this region, even to this day. And when you effectively rule like half of India and half of Pakistan, things get interesting.
I mean, I'm sure this won't lead to problems later on.
Yeah, there's never any sort of issues that arise from this whatsoever.
I'm sure the British won't, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
The British using internal divides? No.
Oh, don't worry. The British don't have to do that for the Mughals. The Mughals do that to themselves.
Fair.
Understand.
However, despite this, their dynasty is notable for two things. Number one, they are one of the only rulers in this region to actively try to unify both the Hindu and the Muslim into a single unified polity. There is, for a large portion of this empire's history, massive amounts of religious tolerance.
Wow.
Oh, it is the Mongols.
That is pretty unique.
Yeah, that is It this is something that they inherited from their Mongol ancestry on the Chagatai side, because the Mongolians, for all their conquests, really did not care what god you prayed to, so long as you did the thing they wanted. And the Mughals are no exception to that. The other interesting thing is that they have 7 successive generations of people who are actually capable taking the throne. Usually, by the time you get to someone's grandchild, you have an idiot.
Yeah,
Found the idiot.
And these people go through the entire arc of an empire without ever having someone that you could really describe as incompetent.
That is pretty impressive.
Doesn't save them, but damn is it impressive.
That's rare. They've had a couple of rare qualities. It's a miracle they didn't last long, or it's a surprise that they didn't last longer, but...
Yeah.
The British tend to,
Yeah,
things.
that is the one thing the British are pretty good at, is ending empires.
Well, the issue for the Mughals is going to be expansion. Because in order to keep the people they conquer happy, they don't tax them. Which means that in order to keep the government running, they have to conquer somebody else.
Yeah.
Take the money and tax them. It's the Roman problem.
Yeah.
It's the Roman. Once the conquest starts and everyone starts getting taxed, things start falling apart again.
It also ends up becoming an American problem.
We don't talk about
that. We don't have to deal with that today. So the founder of this dynasty is a man with a name that in the English language is synonymous with fear. His name is inherently terrifying, so much so that it is almost cried out on the lips of infants when they begin their first words. His name is Babur.
Oh, yeah, Babur.
He rules for 4 years, 1526 to 1530. And it is this man that is directly descended from both Genghis Khan via Chagatai and Tamerlane via Tamerlane himself. Yeah, Tamerlane doesn't really have notable children.
No, not a single one.
Not really. Now, Babur begins his rule of the empire in 1494 as Prince of Fergana, which is this little polity on the northern side of the Hindu Kush, which are these massive mountains in northern India. He is not content with this. He sees himself as a descendant of both Genghis Khan and Tamerlane, as a man who has rights to much of the territory around him. And as such, he proceeds to immediately begin conquering Kabul, Ghazni, and Samarkand before turning his attention to India. Now, Kabul and Samarkand were wealthy, powerful cities in their own right.
Yeah, Kabul's been a powerhouse for centuries at this point.
Samarkand's also pretty famous. I mean,
Yeah,
even among the steppes.
Yes, Samarkand, these are like jewels of cities. And he wipes them out. They're his now.
Yeah, this guy just woke up one day and said, "Wait a minute, I'm a Mongol.
Yeah.
I'm doing Mongol shit."
Yeah, the inner Mongol was awoken.
Genghis Khan came to him in a dream and goes, "My
Conquer.
child." He's coming
Oh,
out of the sky like
no.
Jesus in a dream. Goes, "My child, why are you not conquering?"
Aaron, you need to paint
It's your
the scene.
birthright.
Aaron, you need to paint the scene. You wake up in the steppe. You're alone. Off in the distance, you hear the rumbling, the thunder of thousands of hooves. Over one of the steps, you see it, the black cloud of Mongols riding their steeds, stamping through the grounds. They surround you. They're pointing their weapons at you, and then you see a great man walk in front. It's none other than Genghis Khan himself. He steps down from his horse, looks you in the eyes, and says, "My son, it's time. You must conquer."
No.
Because this guy, like, I just imagine it's like this, like, Constantine moment, like a Christian tradition has it, where Jesus just comes out of a cloud, but it's Genghis Khan T-pose.
Yeah. So, fun fact: it is at this moment that he starts bumping into some of the other, like, semi-Mongolian polities and realizes this isn't really the direction to go a conquering because everyone else is bigger than you. So he decides, hang on, I'm also the son of, I'm also the descendant of this Tamerlane guy. And Tamerlane has a right to a territory called the Punjab, which is in India. So in 1524, he conquers that. Turns south, goes the other way.
Hey, listen, if you've got some big scary neighbors to your left, why not go right?
Yeah.
No.
Because basically, to the north, the west, and the east of him are all his, like, Mongolian, like, second cousins. And so he decides to go south to India, where he then, after taking the Punjab, proceeds to invade Delhi. And this is where Babur shows himself to be more than just a warlord. Because Babur takes Delhi by politics.
What, does he marry into the royal family?
No, he buys the Delhi nobility out from under the Sultan of Delhi, a man by the name of Ibrahim Lodi, who, due to the fact that he was absolutely paranoid that someone was going to steal his throne, had been an absolutely abusive and terrible ruler to his to the nobles of his court.
I mean,
So he just convinced him and paid him off?
I feel like he didn't have to try very hard.
Basically, he showed up with an army and said, hey, this guy, this Ibrahim you listen to, he's pretty bad at ruling. He's mean to you. He mistreats you. He tells you you are bad at your job when you do nothing. Anyone could be better than him. And I come with sacks of gold and my own military. Maybe I do better than him. And they agree to this.
I don't know if that attempt at an accent is offensive or not.
I don't even know what accent that was.
I don't either. That's just my voice.
Oh, but yes.
My voice doing the thing again.
He's like that boy that waits for his female friend to break up with her boyfriend, and he's like, look, I could be your boyfriend. I'm much better.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I have flowers and chocolate.
In 2 years.
Oh,
2 years.
Yeah, that's the
And an
ick.
army.
Ick.
Yeah. In 2 years, 1526, in 2 years, he has both Delhi and Agra under his control. And it is with the taking of these cities that the Mughal Empire is considered to have been founded. And, naturally, now that he's got this empire, he proceeds to use it.
Yeah, more conquest.
Yep. 1527, he goes to war with what is known as the Rajput Confederacy.
He's taking down the Confederacy.
Yeah. Now, the Rajput Confederacy was this alliance of Hindu Indian princes that all ruled semi-independently as their own rajas, as their own kings. They were in control of, like, central India. And they really didn't like listening to anyone else. So when this foreigner Muslim Mongolian fella shows up and starts conquering everybody, they respond violently.
I mean, understandable. Some weird guy kind of just walks into your home and says, hey,
Yep.
I'm going to take this from you.
Well, they didn't so much walk into their home as beat the shit out of the guy they hated to the north of them. And then they all realized, hang on, this guy's more capable than the guy we already didn't like. And we dislike him for all the same reasons.
See, they always
Namely being an
laugh.
imperialistic Muslim.
See, they always laugh when it's happening to someone else they don't like until they realize they're next.
It's the whole, like, Midwestern philosophy of standing out in your yard watching a tornado go by. It's all fine and good as you watch it go across the cornfield. But then the second it looks like it stops moving, it's coming towards you, and you're like, oh, wait, no, 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 and you're running back inside.
Hey, you're just like, man, this is nice. It's like, hold on a sec.
Things get worse for Babur here, as the Rajputs prove to be not so much good at getting allies, but simply they manage to prove that you can't have your intention in everywhere at once. And by 1529, he's fighting a three-front war. The Afghans have declared war on him and are attacking him in the west. The Bengals have declared war on him and are attacking him in the east. And the Rajputs are continuing to fight him in the south. He beats all three of them. He beats all three of them at once.
Wow.
Because in every battle, he uses the environment, outmaneuvers them, and crushes their army.
So what you're saying is he saw that three different groups have declared war and said, oh, so now it's a fair fight.
Yeah.
Bring a few more guys, it'll be a fair fight. He spends most of his time on campaign, and he spends most of his time fighting battles against numerically superior forces. And he keeps winning.
Those horse archers, man, no matter what scenario you put them in, they just really kick ass.
He's just a Mongol. You just got to accept the fact that he's a Mongol. He's got the Mongol blood inside of him.
Yeah.
He got that dog in him.
Yeah.
No wonder China and Russia keeps Mongolia from having access to the ocean.
Yeah,
if they got their horses on, if they got those horses on ships.
Oh no!
Man.
The third
Game
attack
of
on
Thrones
Japan
from season 7 starts playing. It's all the Dothraki cross the sea.
It'd be the third attack on Japan, the third kamikaze.
We don't need that. We don't need that. But 1530, he begins to be diagnosed with a chronic case of dead, and as such, he's not able to consolidate any of his conquests or formally finish any of these wars.
I hear that is fatal most times.
Yeah.
He could have just walked it off. I don't know what he's talking about.
You know, back in my day, we used to just walk it off. We didn't die.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, that's why we got a gerontocracy now in Congress.
I thought that was
Now-
just the old folks' home.
yeah. So anyway, when Babur dies, his son Humayun succeeds him. Now Humayun is going to last from 1530 to 1555, and Humayun comes into a real problem the second he sits on the throne. Namely, that the empire is literally just a line on the map that his father made up and nobody respects.
I mean,
The
if you really want to think about it, that's all the
yeah.
empires really are in borders.
I mean,
Here's
most
the-
borders are gray zones.
However, here's the thing. Here's why this is different. It is claimed that the Mughal Empire controls the Afghans and the Rajputs. It does not. In actuality, he's barely in control of Agra and Delhi. And he is supposed to have claimed these two other empires that border him. So, immediately, war.
Seems like quite the mess for the next asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
He
was
is
a bit
challenged.
ambitious.
He is challenged by a man known as Shah Bahadur of Gujarat. And in 1535, he takes Gujarat. But the people of Gujarat continue to fight against him until he finally kills Bahadur in 1537. A lot of loyalty to the man.
I mean, fair.
Do you blame him?
He is then driven out of India by basically his father's ghost. Because remember how Babur was fighting the Afghans and the Bengals and the Rajputs all at the same time?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that means you can make a lot of friends across the continent. And an Afghan warlord known as Sher Shah of Sur has taken control of Bihar and Bengal and proceeds to defeat Humayun at the battles of Chausa in 1539 and Kanauj in 1540, driving him all the way to Iran.
Damn.
That's
an ass kicking.
He forced the Mongol to Iran away.
Oh no! How'd you escape Iraq? Iran.
Yeah.
Joke is so 2003.
At which point, he receives military aid from Iran on account of the fact that he's descended from both Tamerlane and Genghis Khan, which means that the rulers there, no matter how you slice it, it's like, oh, you're family.
So he basically ran home, asked for his cousin's help, and then went back.
Yeah. He went to was effectively his like third cousin at this point and said, hey, you remember how we keep trying to kill India? Yeah, give me soldiers for that. And
He's just like, he's just like, don't worry, I
Oh.
got you. Because remember, Ohana means family. Family means I give you soldiers to conquer India.
I imagine the conversation went, he showed up at the doorstep and was like, I need help. Conquest? Conquest.
Yep. So, and he does. He conquers Kandahar in 1545, and between 1545 and 1550, he sacks Kabul 3 times because the city keeps rebelling.
So does this also mean that his cousin had better soldiers if after the support they started winning?
I mean, it's Persia.
What it speaks to is the overstretched nature of the Mughal military at this point, having been fighting on 3 fronts for several years, only to be overwhelmed by a concentrated force from one side. The only reason Babur was winning his wars was because he was consistently outmaneuvering lesser generals. Sher Shah of Shur is a military genius on the same level as Babur. And as such, he is able to counter the tactics that Humayun inherits from his father. Humayun is very good at his job, but he's not as good as Babur or as good as Sher Shah.
But now he's back on the conquest.
Yeah. But now he has a real army to face Sher Shah with. Fortunately for him, Sher Shah dies.
Oh,
And
That seems to
Sher
happen
Shah-
to his enemies.
Yeah. And Sher Shah's sons are a little bit consumed with infighting and the fact that they're not as good as their father. And so he starts picking them off one by one.
Total military defeat.
Yeah. He in 1555 he sweeps over the children of Sher Shah like a wildfire. In 1 year, he takes Lahore, Punjab, Delhi, and Agra.
Wow.
Just wipes them back out of his. Bengal still exists independently, but his heartland he just sweeps over and wipes them out.
So he must have lived a long, fruitful life after conquering all these lands back. You know,
He also
retaking his father's empire.
Yeah. He kills himself in suicide by bookshelf.
It happens to the best of us.
He's in his library, his private library, and he falls down the stairs.
That seems a little suspicious.
anticlimactic?
Yep. He does it the same year he retakes the city and gets to visit his library again for the first
Like-
time in what would be 15 years.
He's
Was it
just
like
so
a
excited. He's just like, oh yeah, I can't wait to take this back to my room and reef. Whoop.
Or was it like a really clever assassination where they just put a tripwire at the very tippy top of the stairs?
No, what it is the man is in his 50s, and there is absolutely no concept of OSHA safety regulations in this building.
Oh, fair. his like knee just gave out at like the wrong time. Like I've had that happen where you're just walking normally and like your knee just goes.
Yeah. He's been king for 25 years. He was he was an he was an adult by the time he took the throne, so he's 50 at least.
25 years. That's
Yeah.
It's a
That's
pretty
actually
good reign,
impressive.
to be fair.
Yeah. And his tomb in Delhi is the first example of the Mughal monumental architecture. It's a World Heritage Site because of this, because his tomb is the first thing that the Mughals like actually build in what can be described as their own style.
So be sure to check out our Historical Humans Heritage series to see it.
You're gonna be saying that a lot. This is not the first UNESCO site we're gonna come across for these guys. They
we're
like
gonna get to them all
things.
eventually. Anyway,
Perfect. We got the next 2 weeks booked.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yep. He is succeeded by his son, Akbar the Great, who rules from 1556 to 1605, so almost 50 years.
Makes them great.
The fact that he's outlived everyone else so far.
Because it's a trap. That's why.
Oh no, he's Admiral Akbar!
Now, Akbar, like his father before him, takes the throne and is immediately embroiled in civil war.
Naturally.
This
I hate when that
time,
happens.
it's not because the empire doesn't actually control all the territories it claims to control, but rather because of religious differences.
Oh.
You see, the Chagatai Turks are Muslim, and they are ruling from Agra, with the adjoining city of Delhi as their like heartland. These are Hindu territories, and when Humayun dies, Delhi, instead of acknowledging Akbar as the rightful successor, it turns to a Hindu minister by the name of Hemu. Hemu declares himself the ruler of Delhi as a Hindu, saying that Delhi is a Hindu city, I am a Hindu ruler, we will not acknowledge a Muslim king.
Even though there's been a good degree of... Oh.
1 year of civil war later, Hemu is defeated by Akbar with the assistance of a regent named Bayram Khan. Basically, Akbar's cousins via his father's mother.
I was gonna say, any relation to Genghis.
Yeah. This is a relation via his father's mother, just going down a different branch of the family tree.
God, that's gotta be one of the positive sides of being a descendant of Genghis Khan. Like, you just have cousins everywhere you go.
Yeah.
It can also be an unfortunate thing if you're trying to date.
Basically, his family at this point is in control of, let's see, everything east of Egypt, everything east of the Volga River, and yeah, basically all of that.
So were they good at their jobs?
Well, Akbar was, because he is equal parts conqueror and consolidator.
Wow. You don't hear about many great consolidators.
Yeah. By the end of his rule, the Mughal Empire controls everything from Afghanistan to the Bay of Bengal, i.e. where Bengal touches the ocean. He rules from the Hindu Kush to Gujarat and northern Deccan, which is peninsular India. This is where India tapers off and narrows. So he rules half of India. He rules the entire northern and central half.
What about the southern half?
That's not his.
It's a foreign wasteland of Tamil kings.
Yeah. Listen, getting into southern India from the north is never a good idea. It does not work. He doesn't go that far. He takes half of Deccan. And that's as far as he goes. He develops the administrative system that is going to define the Mughal Empire both culturally and politically for the next 200 years at this point. He reforms the military. He reforms basically everything in order to make it all work as a single unit.
Interesting.
To this end, he does something no one has done before. As a Muslim ruler, he encourages the Rajputs, these rival political princes, these Hindu princes, to join him at court as his advisors and administrators, governors, and generals. He gives them power, so long as they acknowledge him as emperor. They can be princes and kings. They can gain great military accolades by serving as his generals and conquering new territories in his name. They get everything they had before, except he pays for it and gets to put his name on it next to theirs.
Talk about a tax write-off.
Like, that is the ultimate delegation of duties. Like, that is the ultimate CEO if I've ever seen it. Like, all right, board, you guys do the work, and business is good.
He remains a Muslim Turkish Mongol dynasty, but he opens the doors to basically all of his subjects. Everyone's allowed to keep their original territories. Everyone's allowed ranks. They're allowed conquest. The only thing he asks in return is that you acknowledge he's in charge. You provide him with a portion of your armies to serve as the imperial army. You provide him with a portion of your taxes to serve as the imperial taxes. And one of you marries one of his many daughters. That way, your descendants and his descendants are the same descendants, and you're not gonna rebel against me because we're all technically the same family.
And Ohana means family. Family means you don't fuck each other up.
Yeah. Nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
Anyway, yes. Apparently, we're going to Hawaii for this episode on India, but what can I do?
I love Lilo and Stitch, man.
He then does three things which are a major break from his time from Mongolian and Turkish tradition here. Number one, he removes the taxation on pilgrims. It is no longer required that you pay the government to go worship at holy sites.
Ooh.
That's a thing.
That's good for religious tolerance.
Yeah, that is a thing. A lot of times, cities would fight over who got a hero's remains, so that they could tax people to come and visit the great warrior savior of whatever campaign he was on.
So the early system of tourism.
Yeah. There's a whole thing that happens with this, Aaron, for you, with the Byzantines in Sicily, with Belisarius. Belisarius fakes his own death, and the city he's besieging has this whole debate over whether or not to let his people in to bury him there, because the Byzantines will come and pay homage to their great warlord.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember that specifically, but I didn't know they would, tax that.
They tax that. It's a tourist site. It's literally the admission fee to go visit the grave.
There's only two things in life that are guaranteed: death and taxes.
Yeah. Fun fact: in the Sicilian incident, Belisarius is not dead, and he conquers the city.
Yeah, no, I remember that one. That was my favorite. Man faked his own death and got away with it, and won.
Yeah, that's why he gets away with this, because people try to tax your grave.
He applied. He appealed to their sense of getting rich.
He appealed to money.
Money.
The second thing is he abolishes what is known as the jizya, which is a traditional tax paid by non-Muslims living in Muslim territory. What it was is you either pay the government money every year, or you serve as a soldier for the government for a set period of time, as a way of ensuring that this heathen have loyalty.
Did the Ottomans do a similar thing?
Yeah, the Ottomans used the jizya. The Ottomans used the jizya. The Emirate of Sicily used the jizya.
Okay.
Any Muslim territory uses the jizya, and he says, this is kind of discriminating against like 80% of my populace. I'd rather not be that unpopular.
And also inadvertently start training 80% of the populace to use in warfare.
Yeah,
It's a trade-off, you know?
yeah. The other thing he gets rid of is the forceful conversion of soldiers and prisoners of war to Islam. Under his predecessors, if you were captured by the Mughal forces, you would be brought before an officer and either forced to convert to Islam or be executed.
Ugh.
This was seen as wasteful and alienating, as basically he now has Hindu generals telling POWs who are Hindu to convert from Hinduism to Islam or die. No one is going to follow this order. So he just gets rid of it. It's a matter of convenience.
Fair. Yeah.
At least it's better than executing anyone who didn't believe. Like, that is kind of a good way to alienate your soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah. And because he's expanding so rapidly, anyone who gets on board with him early gets massively rich with new territories, new taxes, new just looting. Because he's expanding the empire to, 2-3 times its size. So if you were with him from the beginning, you get a little slice of everybody's pie. Everyone gets rich.
It's the earliest pyramid scheme outside of Egypt.
Yep. Yeah. And with that, we get to see some of his conquests and laws here, because this guy really is like the focal point of the empire. He is their high point.
That's something.
Yeah. In 1568, he conquers part of Mewar by taking the historic fortress of Chittor and massacring everyone inside. This is his Mongolian side coming out, and this is him asserting himself as effectively a warlord. Chittor was famous for holding out against mighty empires and great armies, and by destroying it, he sent the message that the price of resistance was absolute death and that no fortress could hold him. That said, he does not successfully take all of Mewar. Mewar is a freaking nightmare, and it will continue to haunt the Mughal Empire for generations.
I mean, I kind of want to learn more about them now. Like, they held the Mongols at bay.
Yeah, Mewar is pretty interesting. I forget what it is, but like the name of the territory is basically translates to some version of the land that rejects everyone because no one can conquer it.
Wow.
That's a badass title.
Yeah, that's not the actual translation, but it's something along those lines, alluding to the fact that, like, many have tried and all have died trying to take this. It's like how the Middle East became known as the graveyard of empires when the British started losing control there.
Oh yeah.
It's got that sort of reputation among the states of India. His other big thing that he does is he issues what is known as the Mazar of 1579. This is a public edict where he declares himself the final arbiter of all things Muslim in terms of religion. Now, traditionally, a council of theologians, scholars, and judges would hold this position, would handle these matters. However, Akbar knows that by the strict doctrines held in places like Mecca, he is being absolutely, undeniably heretical. Because he is acknowledging non-Muslims as equals. He is acknowledging heathens as human. And in Mecca at this time, there's only Muslim and murdered.
The bar
So-
is so low.
Yeah. So he does this so that his policies of religious tolerance could be seen as not heretical, but as within the confines of Islam and as mandated by Islam. He takes love thy neighbor and just plasters it over everything and says, back off.
Man, I can't blame him.
Yeah. He then opens religious grants to people of all religions. What this means is that you are no longer required to be a Muslim to have government funding to do science.
That's
if
great.
if you want to advance mathematics, astronomy, engineering, you no longer have to prove that you're Muslim and that you are doing this in the name and glory of Allah. You just have to prove you know what you're doing.
Ah, finally, a man of science!
Yeah. Now you can see why, like, the religious tolerance bar for the Mughal Empire is such a big keynote. Akbar just basically fabricates it all and says, "This is how we're doing things."
He's just like, listen, man. Look, I don't care what you worship, but let's do some science.
Imagine if the U.S. took this approach now. Imagine.
It'll never
We
happen.
were supposed to.
Aaron, just imagine.
Imagine all,
All
the people.
studying
Demonetization later.
science. You.
The next thing
Would
he
have been
does to
great.
further this is he founds what is known as the Din-i-Ilahi, which is a sort of Freemason order designed to unify all the religions in the Mughal Empire and make them into a single cohesive force for civil service. Basically, it's it's effectively an elite club that people can get into for civil service, and it's designed so that it doesn't matter what religion you follow. If you are distinguished member of in serving the government, you get to be a part of this rich people club.
Yeah. A rich people club that lets others in? Impossible.
Yeah, it's the civil service club. If you were a distinguished officer, you might find yourself invited to join the Din-i-Ilahi.
It comes with a bunch of great perks, I'm sure.
Yep. Namely, there is a lot of prestige around it since it is considered a scholastic and theological club, meaning that you suddenly have authority on things like science and religion, and you get to talk to people who actually make government decisions one-on-one in private.
I'm an expert. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, politicians listening to experts in their respective fields and making decisions about it.
Imagine.
God, I wish I could. Oh.
Congratulations! You get to have dinner about policy with a congressman. Downside, she's from Colorado.
Plus side, we're going to a movie theater.
All right, before our own country hates us and the Tomahawk missiles come raining down.
Why do I hear a drone?
The next thing he does is he turns to the military. At this point, he has a feudal military made up from dozens of ethnicities and, even dozens more of polities that have served under him. He says, no more of this. You can all have your own individual militaries, but it's going to adhere to a unified structure. So that way, all the ranks are standardized. There is no what the hell is a commodore going on in this,
Kamahua?
Yeah,
Or is it not
commodore.
lieutenant?
It's
Is
a
it
very
lieutenant
outdated
or
military
lieutenant?
rank. But yeah, there is no confusion as to who answers to who. Everything is strictly laid out, with, of course, him at the top.
Naturally. Naturally.
He also creates an entire branch of the military dedicated to running around conducting financial audits of other military officers.
Beautiful.
Just imagine.
Excuse me, sir. Your spending on supplies for this month. How did you spend 30,000 gold coins on furnishings for the horses? You have 2 donkeys and what looks like a drunkard in that pen.
It's the sort of thing that he makes it impossible to defraud his government or take bribes, because it's not just the salary, it's not just the spending in the garrison that gets audited. It's the personal taxes of the man in charge that get audited. Meaning that if it says you make 3,000 coin a year, and I find that you spent 3,001 coin, you are dead.
Listen, I don't understand how you misplaced $2 trillion in government spending to fight in this war.
Oh no!
Like, where'd it go?
Yeah, this is a very real fear of Akbar's, and he makes sure it does not happen.
God,
What?
just imagine.
A effective bureaucratic government that watches spending and oversight. Imagine.
Yeah.
Man, he really is great. He got this.
I would vote for him now. Shit.
Can we vote for him? I mean, granted, he's a little bit older than all the other candidates, but I think he's doing a good job.
He's not American, so that's enough for me.
We'll make him an honorary American.
Yeah. Now, after 30 years of consolidation and reorganization, Akbar is finally ready. In 1586, he embarks on a series of conquests for the next 20 years.
We're going on a trip to conquer all this shit.
Yeah. He takes Kashmir in 1586, Sindh in 1591, Kandahar and Afghanistan in 1595.
Damn, he went further than Kabul.
Yep.
So he really didn't give a shit about his cousins, or did his cousins lose power at this point?
The Afghans have been at war with his family since the time of Babur in 1529. So he's just finishing the job.
Damn.
Also, he has not forgotten that it was an Afghan general that drove his father from the Mughal heartland.
Ooh,
so
personal vendettas.
Vendettas. By 1601, he has taken Khandesh, Berar, and parts of what is known as Ahmednagar, which is effectively the entirety of the Mughal Empire. If you were to look at it on a map, he has it all. He's got most of everything he's ever gonna have.
So he's done a pretty darn good job at what he's meant to do.
Yeah. However, his reign is not without its blemish.
Did he fall down a staircase too?
No. He lived too long. He's been on the throne. This guy sits on the throne for 50 years.
It's like a Ramsey situation.
His son, Selim, rebels against him in 1599 because the old man is taking too long to die.
Oh no, it is a Ramsey situation.
Yeah. Selim is very eager for power. He wants to place his father. Fun fact, he starts this rebellion despite being confirmed as Akbar's heir.
So he's already next in line.
He's already next in line. His issue is that waiting 6 more years for his father to die of dysentery is too much.
Dysentery?
Dysentery. He must have been playing Oregon Trail.
Yeah. Yeah. So despite the rebellion, which is not successful, Selim still takes the throne.
Hey, if you're the most fit successor.
Stage a coup and he still gets away with it.
Yep.
The rich get richer.
Yep. He rules from 1605 to 1627 as Jahangir. However, there is a period of time between 1613 and 1625 when he's technically not the ruler. And rule instead passes to a woman named Nur Jahan. And this is where we get to talk about all those family trees becoming more of a family stock.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's really going the way of Ramses.
Yep. So step number one,
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
he ends the war with Mewar, um, which was still independent despite Akbar waging war on it for basically the entirety of his reign.
Damn, they held out for a long time then.
Yep. Basically, Jahangir gets acknowledged as suzerain of Mewar in exchange for Mewar keeping almost all of its freedoms and independence and nominally paying tribute to him, as opposed to a number of the other polities which were fully under his control and really were, rulers of their territory in name only. So they get a lot of extra freedoms in exchange for stopping the fighting.
Damn.
He then, in the year 1611, marries Nur Jahan, his queen, who will take over for him. And the very next year, 1612, he has his third son, Prince Khurram, marry Nur Jahan's niece. Because Nur Jahan had a brother. Nur Jahan's brother had a son. Nur Jahan's brother is a man with the title of Khan.
I guess they'd be cross cousins, so I guess
I mean,
It's pretty far out at this point, but the sons of Genghis.
that's like second or third. I think it's like third or fourth cousin at that point. Which
well, no, if
Well,
it's her
no,
brother,
'cause-
it's her brother's kid.
her
Yeah.
brother's son, not her,
Her
brother's
brother's-
son's kid.
No, so her brother's daughter marries her husband's son.
Okay.
So they're cross cousins.
Nur Jahan is not. I do not believe Nur Jahan is Khurram's mother.
Oh,
Oh, so that's
Nur
not
Jahan
bad.
Is not,
That's
yeah,
not
it's
crossbreeding.
not that bad. It's not that bad. No. What it does is it means that these families are linked up in a very interesting way. Because Nur Jahan is simultaneously Khurram's stepmother and
Aunt?
Khurram's aunt-in-law. This gets things real messy real quick. As in 1613, Jahangir leaves Agra, the capital of the Mughal Empire, to fight campaigns in the south in the effort to conquer the southern portion of India. During this time, Nur Jahan's family takes over the royal court. Jahangir returns from his campaigns without much success, and he's basically bedridden for the rest of his life. He's he contracts something while on campaign, and it nearly kills him.
Oof.
Because of this, from 1613 to 1625, Nur Jahan starts ruling instead of him. She usurps his power and the position of his son Khurram.
She girl bossed it.
Yeah. Gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss.
Yeah. She took on the responsibilities of emperor, and she issued what are known as farmans, which are these sovereign mandates, sort of like a executive order from a president, in her own name, effectively declaring Jahangir is not, emperor of the Mughals. Nur Jahan is emperor of the Mughals.
Damn, she claimed that power. She put her name out there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That is some girl boss shit. 100%.
She's just like, why not?
Like, this dude ain't in charge anymore. It's my house.
And for 12 years, because Jahangir is either away or infirm during this period, it works. Until she attempts to use her new position as, de facto emperor to change the line of succession so that Prince Khurram is no longer the heir of Jahangir. Prince Khurram will no longer inherit when Jahangir dies.
Ooh, girl boss
She
a little too
wants,
close to the sun.
Yeah,
yeah,
Icarus.
she wants her child by Jahangir to inherit, not
Ooh,
his half brother Karam.
that's
I mean, that's
fair.
not. Yeah, but he is
That
older in terms of
here,
succession lines.
yeah. Here's the problem: Prince Karam is married to her brother's daughter. Her brother is a man named Asaf Khan. Asaf Khan, being her brother, finds out about this and is enraged that she would attempt to replace his daughter's line in the right of succession. As such, Asaf Khan and Prince Karam team up
Oh no.
to to imprison her until she dies.
Oh jeez.
Yep, girl boss a little too close to the sun.
Yeah, oh, that's
Is
I mean,
unfortunate.
understandable.
I
Understandable.
get
She
it,
wanted her
but
kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
ugh.
believe that she thought Asaf Khan would be on her side, being her brother. However, she forgot that Asaf Khan's grandson will inherit after Prince Khurram, and he valued that more than his sister's son inheriting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, she's she's imprisoned in 1625. She's held in captivity until death, and in 1627, Jahangir finally succumbs to his illness.
So she was essentially just kind of ruling in his stead. So
Yeah,
like, how
and
long do you think? How long do you think she was
about
ruling?
she ruled in his stead for approximately 12 years, as she begins to, take over the court in 1613 when he goes on campaign, and when he comes back, he is bedridden and dying for the better part of a decade.
I mean, like, if she really wanted her son to take over, couldn't she just have poisoned him?
It would have
There's
still gone to the prince, unless she poisoned the prince.
No, no,
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Like, yeah,
yeah,
just the
she
prince.
in order for her son to succeed, she would have had to have killed Prince Khurram, Jahangir, and any children that Prince Khurram might have had by um
Oh,
via her niece at that time.
yeah.
Because keep in mind, it's by the time she's found out for doing this replacement plot, it's been 13 years since Khurram has married her niece. They have children.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's a lot of killing and a lot of effort.
I
Yeah,
mean, props to her for conspiring, but you conspire too close to the sun.
yeah,
She
yeah,
boss.
yeah. Yeah. Though in fairness, she would have only had about 2 more years of authority before Jahangir finally died. I think, she saw the writing on the wall that the old guy wasn't going to make it much longer,
Yeah.
and took her chance.
Should have waited till her son got older and then staged a coup then.
Yeah. Yeah, she should have waited till the moment and tried, but you never know. She thought she had the power. She thought she had the
She was
political.
playing checkers while he was playing chess.
Well, I think it's again, she trusted her brother, forgetting that it was her brother's grandson who was second in line that she was about to kick out. But with
Tragic.
that we come to the reign of Prince Khurram, or as he is known when he takes the throne, Shah Jahan. Kind of a snub at Nur Jahan right there. He rules from 1628 to 1658, and he does what his father couldn't and what his grandfather couldn't. He pushes south. He takes Amahad Amhad Nagar in 1636. He turns Golconda and Bijapur into tributary states, and he temporarily seizes control of a number of territories to the northwest of his empire, i.e., he invades Persia.
Ooh.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off.
Yeah. He takes Kandahar in 1638. He takes Badakhshan and Balkh in 1646. And in 1647, he loses Balkh willingly. He withdraws from it due to it being effectively an overreach from what he can hold. And he's never able to take the territory again. In 1649, Kandahar successfully frees itself from his rule. and he manages to almost bankrupt the empire fighting to control Persia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of overextension there.
Yeah,
It
because
happens to all great empires, to be fair.
he's effectively moving out into a flat open area with no discernible like border and trying to take pieces of it without realizing that you can't actually hold part of it unless you hold all of it.
Yeah, that's the thing about that kind of region. There's no borders are fluctuating.
Yeah.
Really, it's the cities that are the most important part.
And you can't hold one city, you got to hold all of them.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah. Anyway, he transfers his capital from the traditional seat of power in Agra to Delhi in 1648. And in so doing, he creates a new city called Shah Jahanabad there.
Shah Jahanabad.
nice.
Yeah, effectively the city of Shah Jahan. It's his equivalent of making Alexandria.
We shall
Huh.
name a great city after myself.
Alexander, this is the 15th city you've named Alexandria, and I shall name 15 more Alexandria.
Yep. And even though his military conquests are a mixed bag, it's in his ability to build up his empire that he excels. Shah Jahan loves architecture, and he is responsible for most of the monumental architecture of the Mughal style that we have. He constructs two great mosques in Agra that are known as the Pearl Mosque and the Great Mosque. He then constructs the Taj Mahal in Agra in memory of his wife, the same woman who, by marrying, he was able to find out about that coup by Nur Jahan against him.
Wait. Hold on, real quick. So this is the guy who built the Taj Mahal, right?
Yes.
Yep.
For his wife,
Yeah, for his dead wife,
who is related to a Khan.
who is the daughter of Asaf Khan. And
It's
is the
Genghis Khan all around.
It's all Khan. It always has been.
It's Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan's descendants built the
It's
Taj
like-
Mahal.
Aaron, if you were there
it's-
for the first episode of this season, you would
Dated-
know.
I'm
the-
sorry,
the
I had a
da-
bit of an
the-
incident being in
yeah.
Indiana.
the dated meme. The dated meme is like, it's all Mongols, always has been.
It's the Ohio, it's all
Yeah.
Ohio, but it's just Mongols.
Except you
Mongols
zoom out
always
one
have.
more time, and it's always will be, and it's the next great Khan.
Ah, yes. Which, if you're from Illinois, you know that one. You know that the Great Khan.
Yeah. The next thing he builds, because he goes to Delhi after building these, is he builds the Red Fort in Delhi, which is his palace complex. Yeah, it's pretty massive. He then builds the Great Mosque of Delhi, which is considered by many to be the finest mosque in all of India. And fun fact: World Heritage Site, World Heritage Site, World Heritage Site, World Heritage Site, World Heritage Site.
Yeah, this guy was a builder.
Yep.
Funny how he
Yeah.
nearly bankrupts an entire empire, and then it's just like, don't worry, I got this, and then just
Yeah.
starts building shit.
Builds 5 instances of monumental architecture, 2 of which are considered the greatest examples of religious architecture in the entire subcontinent of India.
I think
They're
naturally
up
we're
there
gonna.
on the top 10 list.
I think naturally we're gonna have to do one on the Taj Mahal.
Eventually, I figured.
Yeah.
Well,
And
this might
probably
be
the
time
Red
to do it.
Fort. They're all up there. Oh God, they're all up there. In 1657, he falls ill, and all 4 of his sons immediately seek the throne. 1658, he finally dies, and his son Aurangzeb, who rules from 58 to 1707, takes over, having won a civil war against his brothers.
Yeah, civil wars and cons all the way down.
Yeah, 4-way civil war. 1 brother dies in the war. The other 2 are executed following surrenders.
Isn't that technically kind of the same though? Like if you're executed after surrender, it's still part of the war. But 3 of them going down that way, like he was not taking any chances.
Yeah. Aurangzeb expands the empire for the one final time. However, it's not by conquest. Instead, what he does is he takes the tributary states of Bijapur and Golconda and annex them. He makes them formally a part of his empire. They are no longer puppets paying tribute.
Representation? No way.
Yeah. He, however, has major political and religious intolerance. He is severely traumatized by these like civil war and by a number of betrayals that happened to him early in his reign, and it results in him becoming one paranoid ruler.
Oh, so he essentially goes the way as the first guy that
Yeah, the very first one.
Yeah,
well,
he
not
goes.
like the first one, but like
Yeah,
whoever
he
Babur fights.
Yeah, he goes the
Oh,
way of
Ibrahim.
Ibrahim Lodi, who was the Sultan of Delhi, which is fun fact. Now also one of Aurangzeb's titles, being the fact that the Mughals now rule from Delhi. It's all
The irony.
It's all
Yeah.
Mongol. Always has been.
Yeah. Now the issues begin in 1666, just 8 years into his reign, with the conquest of the Maratha. Now, he conquers Maratha, brings their elite into his service, follows the same pattern that worked for Akbar. Except Shivaji, who is the ruler of the Maratha, is cunning, duplicitous, and absolutely unwilling to back down. Shivaji, despite being defeated, captured, and brought to court and, effectively restored as, a servant under Aurangzeb, flees the court and starts a rebellion. After another 8 years of Aurangzeb being unable to catch him, in 1674, he crowns himself king in a Hindu religious coronation, basically saying, for 8 years, these Muslims have hunted me, and for 8 years they have failed. I am ordained by the Hindu gods to be your savior.
Oh boy.
Wow.
And the Hindu, who have been so on this Mughal thing since the beginning, flock to him.
Uh-oh.
And he has an army of religious zealots.
Oh boy.
Once they get representation, this is what happens.
Oh, no, yes.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Between the masses rallying behind him and the fact that for 8 years you couldn't catch this man, a lot of the Punjabs and the Deccans start to side with him. Deccan has long since been near the southern extent of the Mughal Empire. They have long since been a border territory. And the northern Deccans really don't like being split off from the southern half. So they join the rebellion.
Very fair.
The
Understandable.
Punjabs love their independence and see a chance to reassert themselves. So they join the rebellion. You see how this keeps going.
Dominoes. Once one falls, they all come crashing down.
Yeah. Multiple rebellions break out across the empire. And Aurangzeb, in an effort to maintain control, clenches his fist. He goes for a hard line against the revolutionaries. He thinks his problem is that he needs to show that he is a strong and fearsome ruler. That's not the case. What he needed to show was that he was a compassionate ruler who was the one who had the people's interests at heart, like Shivaji is doing.
Oh, no. When you show any sort of discontent, you gotta crush it with a hard line. You gotta come down with the hammer fist.
In response to these rebellions, he demolishes Hindu and Sikh schools and temples, bars Hindu from public office,
Oh no.
and reinstitutes the jizya, the tax on all the non-Muslims. effectively alienating everyone under him and driving a lot of talent to rebel, including the Sikhs, who, by the way, were not a part of this until he started attacking them.
Again, he could have just left it all alone.
He just saw non-Muslim minority must be an enemy
Hard
because
line.
he is paranoid between what is happening now and the fact that he had to kill his entire family to get the throne. You know, he can't trust anybody. That's Aurangzeb's problem. He can't trust anybody, and he has no compassion as a result. Everyone starts rebelling against him. So in response, he begins to commission more and more military officers to deal with these threats. He ends up hiring more officers than the empire can financially support, meaning that the empire goes into a full-blown recession. And because he's expediting a lot of people into the officer class and into the ranks of the military, the quality of his military officers goes into a sharp decline as well. So the people are rebelling. There's massive religious intolerance. The quality of his army is dropping off drastically, and everyone is poor now.
I'm in danger.
Not looking good.
Yeah, it's
Amazingly, this does not destroy his empire. Akbar did his job just well enough to keep this together.
Yeah, like he corrected the ship and ironed out quite a few things to pave the way. But
Ship's got a few holes, but it's still afloat.
Yeah.
for
By
not for long.
1707, when he dies, the Marathas are still in rebellion. The rule of the Mughals is disputed in various places throughout the empire. Control has been lost, and his successors cannot pull the government out from this tailspin. In 1707, Bahadur Shah I takes over from his father. He rules for 5 years. He takes after his father in a lot of ways, being overly focused on the military as a solution. And as a result, he is unable to solve the socioeconomic problems of the people, and he is unable to militarily reconquer the empire. His reign is also short enough that when he dies, there's a major dispute over who the hell is supposed to succeed him. Because keep in mind, most of the Mughal rulers have a pretty decent longevity. Aurangzeb ruled for almost 50 years. Shah Jahan ruled for 30. Jahangir ruled for 20. You know, like these people have been ruling for long periods of time. 5 years is not considered real, you know, it's a blink for these rulers. They don't have short reigns. So there's a major civil war, which is won by a man named Farrukh Siyar, who rules for 6 years, 1713 to 1719. He manages to take the throne thanks to the support of two influential governors, who he makes his chief vizier and his chief war general, respectively. It is at this point that the Mughal Empire and the emperors become dependent on the vassal states that they control, rather than the vassal states they control being dependent on them. As just 6 years into his rule, his chief vizier and his chief war general assassinate him.
You hate when that happens.
Yeah. They conspired with the ruler of Jodhpur, which is part of Mewar, to kill him, and put Muhammad Shah in his place. Muhammad Shah actually has a decent rule. He goes from 1719 to 1748. However, the writing is on the wall, and there's too little to be done. The Mughal Empire is dependent on its tributes, and not the other way around. The Mughal Empire is dying. It's breaking apart. Sections are just splitting off and declaring independence, and there's nothing anyone can do. Iran actually invades briefly in 1539, which prevents Muhammad Shah from actually consolidating what's left of his empire into a manageable position. The Iranians, under a man named Nadir Shah, they are kicked out, but with that, like, the petty rivalries of various principalities and governors turns into minor civil wars, as literally neighboring counties try to conquer each other within the Mughal Empire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely not a good sign
Yeah.
of the Empire's health.
Yeah.
They smell blood in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, Texas is invading Oklahoma. Ohio is at war with Indiana. The Virginias are fighting about reunification.
And the great Khanate of Illinois has already destroyed Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically over. With the death of Muhammad Shah in 1714, the Marathas take advantage of the transition period between one ruler and another to overrun almost the entirety of the Mughal Empire. His death is kind of the end for them. And the Mughal Empire becomes a small principality surrounding the city of Delhi. By 1785, the Mughals are now vassals of the Maratha, a people they had almost conquered.
Ain't that a bitch? Like a full-scale karma moment. Ain't that a
Oh,
bitch?
how the turntables have turned.
Fortunately, just under 20 years later, the Marathas get taken out and the Mughals become subservient to the British.
Oh, wow.
Oh, not the British!
Yep,
damn it.
1803, the British take over Delhi and begin ruling over the Mughals with much the same arrangement that the Mughals had with the Maratha.
You know, why is it that anytime something happens in history, it's the fucking British, man?
Yeah. That actually brings us to Bahadur Shah II, who rules from 1837 to 1857. He is the last Mughal ruler. And the British exile him to Yangon, Myanmar, which is now Rangoon, Burma. They do this because in the last year of his reign as the effective ruler of Delhi, he throws his support behind what is known as the Indian Mutiny of 1857 and 1858. We touched on this mutiny briefly in our 2023 episode, Opium Diplomacy. Effectively, what it is the British stationed Indian soldiers in India to serve as a British peacekeeping force and enforce British rule, except the people of India did not like British rule, and once they had been armed and taught how to fight the British way, proceeded to turn on the British.
Use their old tricks against them. Yeah, perfect.
The British Indian Army rebels against the British Empire. It lasts about a year and is unfortunately put down.
We gotta put her down, boys. Gotta take her out.
And it is responsible for ending the Mughal line of the Chagatai Turks.
Dang. That is,
That's a
wow.
hell of a story, man.
Yeah, and one of our longer episodes recently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's took 4 pages of notes just to go through all the important rulers of this empire.
Hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked it, leave a comment down below. If there's a topic you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know. If you want to hear about the Indian Mutiny, help me in pestering Colum to write about it.
No.
We've been avoiding it, but if we
That's
pressure
no.
him...
It's not about pressuring.
Peer
You all
pressure.
wrote the schedule. You all wrote the schedule for 2024. It's not on there. That ain't on me.
Peer pressure, peer pressure. But thank you guys for listening, and we will see you in the next podcast episode.